Is it better to do more sessions, so cash in more sessions in a single week, or does it not really matter as long as we're getting the same total work in, so we're matching for volume? This is a recent question I got off a client, and I thought, that's a great question. It's that good of a question that I think I'll do a video on it. Now, let me preface this video by saying the main thing you need to consider always is adherence. Are you personally more likely to adhere to, say, 2 or 3 sessions per week, or 4 to 5 sessions? This needs to be the main deciding factor. I mean, what will facilitate more volume? So total work, total sets, 7 sessions a week for 1 month, or 3 sessions a week for 1 year? That's right, the latter. That said, if you can increase your training frequency, hit more sessions, do that consistently, you may well benefit from it. The main benefit of training more frequently is, it generally facilitates more volume. For most people, we're looking for 10 to 30 hard-working sets on each muscle group each week. 10 sets per muscle group per week is easily manageable, training twice a week. But if someone needs more volume, maybe they've been training for a while, or they simply want to optimize things as much as possible, then they'd perhaps consider getting in more sessions to push closer to that 20 sets per muscle group, or even more. But pushing beyond 20 hard working sets per muscle group is unnecessary for most lifters. Another consideration and benefit to high frequency training is fewer wasted sets. So fewer wasted sets per session. If we look at this graph that I pulled from an in-house meta-analysis done by James Krieger that reviewed the data of 9 separate studies looking at the impact of sets per muscle group per session on muscle building, you can see that the gains continue to rise up to 6 sets per muscle group. But beyond, we get hit with a pretty hard plateau. Some will benefit from 8 sets per muscle group, but few will reap the benefits beyond this. This means if we're aiming for higher volumes, then you're best doing more sessions, say 4 to 5, to get that volume in without risking diminishing returns or worse, wasted sets. We don't want that. Similarly, if you're trying to squeeze a lot of volume into a session, as you only have 1 or 2 sessions to get the volume in, then the quality of those reps will generally take a hit. Once you're on your 3rd leg exercise, which is like your 9th set, you're no longer banging out, quality lunges with a good weight and full range of motion. Whereas if you spread that volume out over more sessions, then there's less fatigue. You're able to work with more weight, bang out more reps with more range of motion. Just everything's better. And more reps with more weight equals higher total volume. So weight times reps times set. And when spreading the volume out over more sessions, those sessions get to be shorter, which is a nice touch. More sessions also results in more frequent spikes in muscle protein synthesis. So more frequent spikes in muscle development. Now, this won't really account for much when volume is matched, and people do exaggerate the benefit of this, so I won't really linger on this point much, but it's something worth mentioning. I'd also like to touch on RBE, which is the repeated bout effect, which is where your body gets used to the repeated stimulus and becomes conditioned to the training frequency. So some people feel that they need a week to recover from their session, but they, or sessions, but they don't, especially when you manage that volume correctly and get used to the training frequency. I was going to leave it there, but I have one more point to add. Another benefit to high frequency training is that regular training much more quickly becomes a habit. When people train once per week, that training, that session, it's more just like something they're trying to squeeze into a week, as opposed to training being part of your routine. When you train regularly, it becomes normal. It becomes habitual. You don't have to think about it or psych yourself up. You just get it done. That said, if you can only pump iron once or twice a week, you can still exercise regularly by filling the gaps with walking or running. This is something I recommend to make exercise part of your routine, to make it habitual. So, as you can see, training more frequently, it does have its benefits. When you match for volume in studies, you won't see much benefit to high frequency training, but in the real world, when you train more frequently, you do get more volume in. And when we review the research, we can see an almost dose response effect with volume, meaning more volume equals more gains. Now, if you're one of my clients watching this and you only train, say, twice per week, remember that that's absolutely fine, as that's the amount that can fit into your lifestyle. That's the amount that can fit into your routine. What I've done is ensure that there's a good amount of volume in those sessions to maximize your results. Remember that the best plan is the one you can adhere to.